It really takes months to understand. We started in 2017 with 0 stores, and now we count on more than 45 stores. It's very tough to give a decision in a matter of days. I believe that you can actually reach success only through partnerships.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ghassan Abood Holding Podcast, the show where we sit down with the people that shape the group's strategy, growth, and future. My name is Ulfat, and I'm the marketing specialist at Ghassan Abood Holding Grandiose. Today's conversation is about strategy and investment, how businesses decide where to grow, what to invest in, and how M&A fits into the larger picture. Joining me today is Stefano, a senior associate in the strategy and investment team. He plays a crucial role in identifying new opportunities and help shape the future direction of the group. Welcome to the podcast, Stefano.
Thanks a lot for having me here. It's really a pleasure.
Before we dive deeper, for someone who may not be aware about your role, what does your day-to-day work look like?
I have to say that the strategy and investment team is a very important team for the holding company. And it's actually sitting between where the group is today and where the group will be in the future, right? So in our day-to-day, I have to say that the most important things that we look at are evaluating opportunities, doing analysis on which, in the end, very important decisions are taken, and also supporting the businesses in shaping their directions, so that in the future they're able to grow in their vertical and in different markets. Every day actually is different. There is no real day that is looking the same. And this depends really on the strategy that we are putting together on in 2026, 2027, 2028. However, all the strategy is going towards one clear direction that is normally set with a 5-year plan.
Right. Okay, so I wanted to ask, when a business decides to invest, what really guides that decision?
So there are multiple things that we obviously consider whenever we need to do an investment. The most important thing is that it needs to fit from a strategic point of view. So whenever we need to decide where to invest, in which vertical, and in which country, first is to understand what is the shareholder's vision. And this is actually baked in already in the strategy that I was talking you about before in the 5-year strategy. So that's number one. Number two is obviously that numbers need to make sense. The numbers need to generate a certain IRR, and also we cannot reach verticals and investments that are bringing too much risk to our current holding company. And then also another point to consider is whether these investments are actually adding value to the current portfolio that we have, or are allowing us to enter into a new vertical and a new market. So if these two boxes, or either one or the other, are actually ticked, then we can look at the things in a more detailed way.
So I just wanted to ask you, let's say at a group level, what are the specific, or are there any specific sectors or regions that we're currently focused on at the moment? And if yes, why those?
Absolutely. So currently, to be frank, I am overseeing our expansion in Africa in different sectors. The one that we are expanding massively, I have to say, is the automotive sector. And the reason for that is that the market is booming. There is an increasing demand, even if we believe that at the moment some countries do have current situation from a macroeconomic perspective that are not supporting much. However, we believe that always for the long term, that's the place where it makes sense to be. Then also I'm supporting the Crystal Blue collection expansion overseas. We are currently operating in Australia, but our idea is to expand further, expand in Southeast Asia, expand in New Zealand, and potentially also in the Middle East if there are meaningful opportunities.
Okay. And how does M&A really fit into the group's growth plans, alongside obviously what we're already investing in?
So the reality is that we look at M&A in a bit different way. So normally, if normally you can see these holding companies that are doing massive M&As, multiple M&A throughout the years, whereas we are quite selective, I have to say. And the reason for which we are selective is mostly related to the people and to the culture that we have at Ghassan Abood. We always try to find partners. We always try to find target companies that are aligned with our core values. Okay, so even if, as we were saying before, there is a strategic fit, then we need to understand whether the culture could be perfectly integrated with what we have here. And however, our way to grow is also through inorganic growth. We indeed tend to, most of the times, to grow in an inorganic way. If you think about Grandiose, for example, we started in 2017 with 0 stores, and now we count on more than 45 stores. So we tend to build full ecosystems from scratch. Crystal Brook as well, similar situation. So we always value M&A as well in order to enter faster into some markets and in a lower risk system. However, I believe that as we speak, we basically are trying to balance the two typology of growth engines.
Right. So let's say if a new business opportunity presents itself, how would you decide whether it's a yes or a no?
So the reality is that it's a very, very long process. It's not. It's very tough to give a decision in a matter of days. It really takes months to understand whether it makes sense or not. And as I was saying before, you start to understanding whether actually there is a strategic fit for that average of target, whether that target is in a vertical where we are already playing in or we are not playing in. So to see whether there are some synergies in that vertical, whether the market is actually booming from a long-term perspective, whether it's a more short-term investment. So there are some ticks that obviously need to be ticked there before making a final decision. And then most importantly, again, I have to say it's culture. It needs to be, so the target company needs to be quite aligned with our core values because we really believe in the people and we really believe in the management.
So, are there any trends that you're closely monitoring at the moment? And if you are, how would that really shape the group strategy over the next few years?
Well, I was mentioning before the Africa project that I'm actually overseeing. I feel that Africa is one of the markets where we need to be and actually businesses need to be. Currently, there are many saturated markets in which we are playing, while Africa is one market that it still need to see the future, the full growth. And however, Africa is very big, so and each nation is very different. So it's very important to do your due diligence over there. Another point that I have to say is that, for example, on which we are currently focusing on is a vertical integration in the logistics space. So with Gallega, we are trying, for example, to see whether there are potential opportunities to increase our margins by adding some vertical integration within the full value chain. And then I have to say that in the past podcast, Mohit the VP of strategy, senior VP of strategy, was talking about Grandiose, and I'm sure that during that conversation he was speaking about the super app that Grandiose is currently aiming to develop, right? So how close the retail system now is getting to the to the customers using the e-commerce. So I think also that is another trend that we are currently seeing in the market.
That's great. So, on a final note, just asking on behalf of our investors and our partners, what's the one thing you really want them to know about how the business grows?
Well, I think here the most important thing to know to say is that our motto is building a better future together, which means that apart from building a future together with the team, the full organization, I think it is worth to mention that we build a better future together also with the partners. And we believe really, when I was speaking before about M&As, about inorganic growth, I obviously was speaking from on behalf of Gasanawood Holding, but I believe that you can actually reach success only through partnerships. And if we think about Gallega, that now is a full JV with Easy Lease, if we think about Buy Parts, if we think about the Food Hub and Auto Hub, we really can see the success thanks to the partnerships. And I really want to thank our partners for all the efforts and for all the support that we are receiving on a day-to-day basis, really.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Stefano, for walking us through how strategy and investment come together. And you can really tell that there's real intent behind every decision the business makes. To everyone watching, thank you for tuning into Gasanawood Holding podcast, and we hope to see you in the next episode.